Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Catherine Myers, and I am the manager of faculty engagement at UAGC. I will be the host of this session, Constructing Care in the Online Setting: Perceptions and Experiences of Compassion, Acknowledgement, Respect, and Encouragement in the Classroom. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we've enabled live transcription. If you'd like to use it, click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I am pleased to introduce you to three of the finest humans at UAGC. Kim Cowan, Students' Rights and Responsibilities Manager; Bill Davis, Lead Faculty and Assistant Professor for the Forbes School of Business and Technology; and Stephanie Stubbs, Faculty Lead for Doctoral Research. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start it out here. And what I'd like to just ask you to do is type in the chat, what does care mean to you? All right, I have a saying I've followed through the years. I used to say to my students on ground that students don't care, or business folk, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And then a student flipped that back at me at the end of class and gave me this little plaque. Never forgot this, but they said, students don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And also, too, sometimes students will forget what you taught them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. But anyway, that's my point. We all understand the culture of care, what we're striving to do. We understand our vision, mission, but what does care mean to you? So let's go ahead and look at some of these responses. I'll read them out loud before I turn the slide over to my wonderful colleagues. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of shout them out here. Dana Dillard. Let's see, I'm reading some comments before this started. Willing to put the needs of others first. Vanessa Greaves, thank you so much. And let's just continue this look at the chat. Empathy and empowerment. One of the things that I know that I believe, and I've got this from Matt Galloway, he said, lead with care. I even added to that and said, lead with care and act with compassion. But these things that I focus on when I'm moving and looking at the UAGC vision, they do inspire me and they motivate me. That's what works for me intrinsically. Now, Heather Pedersen, the feeling that someone understands your needs and challenge and is willing to help, empathy. I see Stephanie and Kim shaking their head. And this is why we did some of this research, because we're excited about this and we really believe this is a key element in furthering student success. Opportunities, Kingsley, opportunities to engage, listen, and identify alternate pathways to success. Absolutely. Inclusive leadership, seeing the whole picture, diverse perspectives, understanding, real or perceived apprehensions in a classroom. All of that matters. So Shayla Turk said, empowering others and helping them reach their success. The UAGC vision is simply enrich, empower, support, and graduate every student. And, when you empower them, Shayla, your view is right up there aligned with the UAGC vision. So I think we all see what care means. Okay, I know I care, my colleagues care. I know we have the Student Community Standards cares. We're always behind the scenes doing what we could do to make things work. So with that said, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now let's just give our unique perspectives here. Kim, I'm going to give it to you.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, my name is Kim, and I'm the Student Rights and Responsibilities Manager. I oversee the Conduct Office, Academic Resolution, and I'm the co-chair of the Behavioral Intervention Team. As you can imagine from that list, I find myself in situations with students who are unhappy about a course, final grade, an instructor, are frustrated or impacted by a situation that may be inside of the classroom, that may be outside of the classroom. And sometimes I have to navigate some challenging conversations and experiences that our students have. I've been at UAGC for over 12 years, and before moving to student affairs in 2016 from academic affairs, I'm not really sure I ever really knew who our students were. I started engaging in conversations with students, and then I felt like I started to understand a little bit more. I may not have the same experiences as they do, but I always try to be curious when I go into any student situation. The more I was curious about a student's situation or perspective, the more I adjusted my thinking to include the gathering of student feedback rather than the judging of their decisions or actions. The more I was curious about their situation, the less I assumed they did something wrong intentionally or even maliciously. Overall, conversations and connections with students got better. The more I truly cared about the student side of things, the more I drilled down, asked questions for clarification, the more I found success in supporting students and finding ways to help them succeed or get back on track. And last year, after many years of working with Stephanie and Bill, who are a part of the Student Community Standards Committee and Faculty Coaching Subcommittee, who support the conduct process, we were able to come together with a common goal in mind. How do we define what care means? And since we're kind of talking through all of that, I think we just asked ourselves this simple question. What if we just asked students what they thought? What if we asked staff and faculty what they thought? And I'm really excited to share what we found out.
Absolutely, Kim. And thank you so much for that. And so much of this aligns to what our wonderful provost is all about too, and says that students want to feel seen and heard and supported, meeting students where they are, being empathetic to their situations, and most importantly, being willing to work with them through challenges to find successes in our classrooms, are ways we embody the culture of care. And Kim, you sure line up to that. You sure have advised me many times. With that said, before I read my next statement, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie.
Sure thing. So like Bill, I'm also a faculty member here at UAGC. I've been here for about 8 years. My background is in social psychology, so I'm always very aware of the many contextual factors that influence behavior. And having taught both on ground and online courses, I've noticed that only one thing really translates directly, or has for me in my experience, and that is that students thrive when they feel connected, when they feel cared for, and they slip away when they don't. And how we do that in this setting is something that really has been of interest to me personally. I've done previous research in terms of instructor presence, and this is just sort of a natural extension of that, to move toward asking the students to let them have a voice and tell us, are our ideas of care the same ideas that they have, and what do we need to do to really meet them where they're at, meet their needs. And so I was so excited to embark on this research project with my colleagues here.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. And you truly have led this research study and really showed us new ways to really reach students and understand students. And I really applaud all your research skills and all of the things that you put forth and brought to this team. So thank you. And I can't wait to see this all unfold, because I'm part of a wonderful team here. And I know I'm pretty lucky and grateful that I get to be around such great researchers here, in Kim and Stephanie. So anyway, my unique perspective, I've got 34 years in the highly competitive soft drink industry. I've been in academia 17 years. I've taught over 300 online courses. I've seen and experienced a lot, gained some wisdom and so forth through the whole journey. And here's something that I just kind of sum up that I believe to be a leader coach. You're a teacher, you're an educator, but you're moving students through a learning continuum. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to do that, and always lead by example, with purpose, with empathy, and act with compassion. Always demonstrate a positive attitude. And I really believe it's so important to be authentic and genuine, and show students, not just students, but your colleagues, get together, share best practices, that you care and you're committed and dedicated to their success. So that's kind of my mantra that keeps me going, in addition to the wonderful vision that Dr. Iris Lafferty and the leadership team put together for UAGC, because I believe in that. Enrich students, empower students, and support students, and graduate students. That's what keeps me focused and going. So with that said, let's turn to the next slide.
Thank you, Bill. So really quickly, I just want to give a little bit of background of our internal research that we completed. And Katie Shea had shared some of this demographic information earlier today in a roundtable. So it was nice to have some current information. 48% of our student population identify as non-white, including Black or African American and Hispanic. Average age is 35, and 77% of our students self-report that they have full-time jobs. 57% self-report as having dependents. And according to academic resolution and conduct data from last year, 25% of the students we worked with in academic resolution reported that a non-college life event or hardship prevented them from having an opportunity to operate within the classroom expectations and university policy. And 39% of students disclosed that they were impacted by COVID, which led to referrals to conduct regarding an alleged violation of the standard of respect or a violation of the integrity policy. So many of these cases reported by conduct and academic resolution, students disclose negative impacts causing them to feel stress, make quick decisions that compromise their academics to prioritize other things like family, work, a lack of flexibility from instructors and support during courses didn't allow them to reach their goals. And overall, this information tells us that our students are non-traditional students who are balancing so many different priorities: work, family, COVID, other things that we don't even know about. And that those kind of impacts can those kind of things negatively impact their ability to meet a deadline, ask questions, seek help, and engage in the classroom as we might hope they would. So care may not be so easily defined. It might vary from individual to individual. So with this background on our students, I'll hand it over to Stephanie to dive into the research we've done outside of the institution.
Thank you. So we all know that online education can be a challenge with our accelerated course format and the little time that leaves to build lasting relationships. Our students might sometimes feel disconnected or unsupported, especially given these additional challenges that Kim just mentioned that our adult learners face, things like work and family life. And in order to successfully navigate the challenges, they need our support. Are we giving them that support? What qualities demonstrate care from their perspective? From our perspective, we believe that instructors and staff who care lead with compassion, taking the time to acknowledge the individual student's situation, including those challenges and obstacles specific to adult learners pursuing online education, respecting the unique contributions and strengths of each learner, and providing encouragement for development and growth toward meeting personal and career-related educational goals. But again, what do students say that they want and need from us? We set out to answer this question. Our research is a work in progress. We've not yet completed data collection, but we wanted to provide a preview of our results thus far. So what we present to you today focuses on the instructor-student relationship and includes responses to basically the same question from each of those two perspectives. We asked students whether their current instructor demonstrates each of the components of care as we have defined it, and then we asked instructors and staff whether they demonstrate each of these. I'm going to show you the percentages of agreement for each of these four components, contrasting the faculty and student perspectives. The numerical results are not going to be particularly surprising, but the qualitative responses that Kim follows up with are going to provide us an opportunity to really reflect on these different components of care. We asked a follow-up question to these four components, and that question is, what is the single most important thing an instructor can do to demonstrate care? So that is where we will have a chance to really dig into some of the specific feedback that we have received thus far. So let's get started with our first component, compassion. The prompt here was, my current instructor demonstrates compassion, and I am compassionate towards students. So same question from two different perspectives. And as you can see, we're using a 7-point scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Most students and faculty indicate agreement with this statement, which is wonderful. It's good to see that we're showing compassion to our students, that they feel that we're showing them compassion. But that level is more pronounced among faculty members, instructors and staff. We do think we're doing a better job of this than our students do. So I'll turn this over to Bill.
And Stephanie, I agree. I think we're doing a far better job, in the whole evolution and transformation as we've moved forward. But we're understanding our students. I always said that good leaders understand the context and situation they lead in. Well, it's the same thing as good educators. They understand the dynamic. They lead with EQ. They lead with empathy and compassion. So the question that we have for everyone is, what does compassion mean to you? Please type that in the chat if you would. What comes to mind? What's it mean to you? And from my experience, it's a lot different than empathy. When you get compassionate, you're involved and you're connected there and you want to help. As soon as we end this tonight, I have to work with a student that I've been acting with compassion with that ran into some struggles in week 5 and wasn't able to complete an assignment. And I'm going to work with that student tonight and make sure that gets completed. But it shows that I'm not only empathetic, but I want to take action and act with compassion. But that's my side. What does it mean to you? And let me go ahead and please, if you would, when you put in the chat, it sure helps us move things even further. Michelle, thank you. Dr. Majors, thank you. Meeting students where they're at. That is so important to understand the situation and situational awareness, right? Understanding what's in front of us, social awareness, relationship management. Dana, demonstrating sensitivity to situational context. Absolutely. Educational variables. Eric, you hit the nail on the head here as far as I'm concerned. Action taken to show someone that I care and I'm willing to meet you where you're at. Kim, you've taught me that many times in some of the consultations you've given me on situations we work through with students, and I sure appreciate you. And looking at Mappy, genuine care to understanding impacts anyone is facing. And people remember that, Mappy. They look at this and they say, that was a good person. That person helped me through a difficult time or helped bridge the gap. Very good. Heather Pedersen, being sensitive to student issues and working with them through it, not just listening, but actually helping. And there you go, taking action, actually helping. And Nikki, I've worked with you on a few committees here, and I like this here. We are willing to break barriers together with students, partnering, working with them. They matter. Boy, does that fit the culture of care. So with that said, there you go, Kim and Stephanie, and let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, so some of the preliminary results we received, as you can see from the student side of things, allow for changing of deadlines if needed for personal life obstacles. And we saw some of you say the same thing. One of these things we hear a lot in academic resolution conduct, not shut out my feelings when I address an issue. And, it's many times a student is stressed. They don't know how to ask a question. They don't know how to reach out support. Maybe they don't want to share the details of their unique situation. They don't understand the tone of an email, which is so easy to do. They don't understand a grade they received. Students may be seeking an outlet and some support from you, not necessarily a solution. And as you can see from the faculty and staff area, similar to the things we've seen in the chat, listening to the students' need, allowing them time and space for success, listening to them and making decisions about their work on a case-by-case basis. Stephanie, what does our preliminary data show for acknowledgement?
Good question. So moving on to acknowledgement, the question here, the prompt for students was, my current instructor demonstrates acknowledgement of me as a unique individual. And for faculty, I acknowledge students as unique individuals. You can see here again a high level of agreement with this particular statement on the part of both students and faculty, but a pretty significant looking difference between students and faculty in terms of that strong agreement. So we're doing good work here, but there's definitely room for improvement. So kind of moving on, I'm going to turn it over to Bill to talk a little bit about what acknowledgement maybe might look like from our perspective.
There we go. Let's again, please participate. Put in the chat, what does acknowledgement mean to you? I saw Bill Clinton one time talking and speaking. This is an old memory, but he was saying when he went to Nelson Mandela's home, he would walk in there and everybody would have this saying that they would say, in our culture, we say hello. In their culture, it was a different term, but what it meant was I see you. So what does acknowledgement mean to you? I hear you and I understand. Vanessa, thank you so much for that. That is so rich, and you truly help us all frame it and see more. So that is a wonderful. I see and understand you and the individual you are. There you go. A diversity, the diverse perspectives, the inclusive leadership. Nikki, thank you. Acknowledgement is implementing an action that resolves the issue. We might say that in business, remedy. Let's find a solution. Let's work together. We can find the middle. Super commenter. Thank you, Nikki. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
I have a couple of things that we hear from our students is understand that we are all at different stages of life. We all have different struggles, understanding the individual circumstances and not clumping all students together as one type of student. And then we see kind of that alignment over in the faculty and staff, and from the couple that I've seen in the chat as well. Treat them as an individual, advise honestly and directly, lay out all options on the table to let the student decide what is best for them. I really appreciated that comment. What about respect, Stephanie?
So this question here, my current instructor demonstrates respect and I respect students. A high level of agreement with this response on the part of both students and instructors and staff. So let's talk a little bit more about what that might look like.
Stephanie, thank you. And I can really see how the ebb and flow of this slide presentation is coming together so well. And I know you put a lot of design work into this. So thank you and for bridging to me. So with that said, what does respect mean to you? Earlier in my career, always was the degree of indifference a person shows an object, person, or thing, or whatever you hear, but what does respect mean to you? Can you type it in there in the chat, please? We do have now some here. If I'm moving fast on you, that's because I'm aware of the time, and we want to bring it home at the right time. But Lisa Johnson is making some good comments in here too for us to consider. Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to see you here and connect with you again. And helping students acknowledge the support systems they need to craft and maintain for professional success and beyond school is essential. I could not agree with you more, and all the work that you did when you were here in the student community, Lisa. So thank you. Anybody else? What does respect mean to you? Love the point about being honest, even when it's hard. There you go. And how to say that too, right, Stephanie? How to couch it, how to say it appropriately. There we go. Compliment from Lisa. Thanks. Glad to be able to. Hey, it's a pleasure to see you here, Lisa. Thank you. Let's see. Anybody else? Okay, Vanessa, thank you. Showing respect is active listening, understanding the context, the situation, verbal, nonverbal communication, perfect listening. You got to know how to listen and understand. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I think respect can come in many forms. I kind of align it with the Ted Lasso quote I shared earlier about curiosity and leading with curiosity. It aligns with what a student said, just checking in and not assuming laziness. Be curious about what's happening. Don't make those assumptions. We also hear a lot in our units, allow students to be human and make mistakes, whether that be a teachable moment with academic integrity and understanding that a student's reaction to an email or grade may not be what you hoped, but could be out of fear, anxiety, financial impact, potential dismissal, or any other myriad of things that are happening outside of the student's life. I really appreciate the faculty and staff over here talking about not judging their reasoning, bringing authenticity to the table. Respect is very subjective. So find out what their definition is and be open to the fact that their definition of respect might be different than what yours is. Stephanie, what do we think about encouragement?
So our final element here of encouragement, my current instructor demonstrates encouragement, or I encourage students. And as you can see, again, we are doing some really remarkable things here in terms of encouraging our students.
Very good. Thank you. What does encouragement mean to you? Anyone? you know what, just responding to a past comment here from Lisa about respect is essential for a just and civil interaction in society. And, I taught junior achievement many times 10, 15 years ago in high school classrooms. The first thing we started out with in this leadership course was mutual respect, establishing mutual respect. So we're on the right track here. But let's talk about encouragement. And what does that mean to you? How do you define that? One or two words. Acknowledging, recognizing, whatever you think. Well, let's see. There we go. Dana, thank you. Encouragement, acknowledging and respecting the effort that was given while promoting growth. Doesn't that make you feel good when somebody sees, maybe you didn't solve the whole problem, but at least you went a few miles to try to attempt that. And when people see your intent, they understand it. Heather, fantastic. The tone is so important. So important. How we speak, how we use melody, how we move people through, how we couch what we do is so important, to talk positively. Anybody else? Because I'm going to close this one out. Okay, let's go to the next one.
All right, thank you, Bill. As you can see from the student side of things here, be there for the student when the student needs them. That may not be all the time, but quick replies and the motivation to help with anything. Replying back when you send an email to them, and not just give an answer like contact your advisor. Sometimes we see those where we think the intent behind what we're doing is being encouraging to get somebody where they need to go. Maybe it's about taking that time to really warm transfer a student over, reach out to the advisor and have the advisor reach out to the student, or ask those questions to ensure that you are finding the best support and resource for that student. I really liked understand that every interaction is an opportunity to care and make the most of each and every one of those opportunities. Bill and Stephanie, do you have any final closing thoughts today?
Well, I will just say this, that talk the walk, walk the talk. And remember, the first way that you establish credibility is through your words and what you position. Next is your actions. And one of the things that, as I've been a leader coach, I'm always reminding everyone that, people are watching, right? They see if you went the extra step. They see if you did the same day response on the email. They see how long it took you to come back. People understand people. And especially when we understand our students in their situations, and we can make a connection and say, they're in a tough place right now. I need to bridge that for them. I need to show compassion. I need to act. I need to help solve their problem because we are in this together. So those are my final thoughts. Thank you, my two colleagues, for allowing me to be on this team. I had a wonderful time working with you the last few months as we pulled this all together. So I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Sure thing. I would say my final thoughts, we're doing a lot of things really well. We have opportunities to improve. There are still things places we can go to meet our students where they are and really show them that we do care on these 4 components and other elements of caring. And so we do have lots more to come. This is just kind of a taste of some of the data that we've collected so far. So hopefully we'll be able to come back next year to TLC and share a lot more. So
we're really excited about all the work that we're doing. And as Stephanie just said, it's very preliminary, and we really appreciate the Culture of Care initiative here at UAGC. And so we do want to find ways that we can share our results as they continue to come in and have a positive impact in not only the way that we support student success, but also how faculty and staff are supported in navigating ways in which we can apply care, because it can be so subjective and it can be so individualized. We want to make it as meaningful for everyone so it can be meaningful to our students. And I'll just leave with agreeing with Diana as well. The word choice in online communication is very powerful, and it takes only an extra minute or so to make sure that you just add a little bit of care in there, whatever that may look like, just to show that you can be constructive and supportive at the same time.
Absolutely, Kim. Sometimes it's just an extra degree or two. to turn it up, and we have a wonderful outcome. And I'll just leave with one thing: quality in everything you do, innovate, find new and better ways to do things, and care. Because if you care, it trickles into the culture, it trickles into the faculty ranks, it trickles into the student rank, just makes for a better experience for everyone. So, and our host here, Catherine Myers, she cares. I've seen her do it many times, go out of her way for the culture of care, and just a job she does. So thank you, everyone, from my end. Catherine, why don't you say a few words, and then maybe we can end it.
I just want to thank you all so much for sharing this information. Thank you all for attending. Tomorrow, there is another keynote presentation led by Dr. Adriana Kazar, which takes place at 9 a.m. Pacific. So it's 9 a.m. Pacific on Wednesday, November 2nd. Please plan to attend and enjoy the rest of TLC. Thank you, Kim, Bill, and Stephanie, for an incredible presentation.
Thank you, everyone.